Also this year, guys, we started teams. All right, we have Swahili Nation One Africa Ethiopia team, Swahili Nation One Africa Kenya team, Swahili Nation One Africa Tanzania team, Swahili Nation One Africa South Africa team, and there's a lot of other teams that are coming, Nigeria and other countries as well. So if you're in those countries, please get flagged in, get registered in these groups, because we need to organize our people for all the activities that we'll be doing in this year in these countries. And you never know, man, I will show up in any country anytime to participate in all these activities that we're preparing for this year. It's exciting, man. It's 2023 and it's the year of completeness, man. I'm already excited here. And without wasting time, let me just pray and start this session. I don't know, man, I'm happy today. There's this beautiful energy going on inside of me, and I hope it's contagious, that you guys can feel the same thing and experience that. Well, God, I thank you for a beautiful day that you've given us, beautiful day of conversation with my sister right here. And I just pray for your wisdom, for your understanding, and everybody that is watching here. I pray that they'll be blessed. And not only that, but it will be a day that they'll get new ideas, they'll get new ways and how to move forward. I hope the session and the conversation that we're going to have in this One Africa podcast, it will stir up the fire inside of us to start something new for our community and to build this beautiful continent that we have. So I pray all these things in your precious name, Jesus Christ. Amen. 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 And amen. Welcome, everybody. It's good to see the family. I see Marit in the comment section right there. Thank you for your membership. It means a lot. I see my brother Reggie right there. Thank you for joining us. It's amazing. So without wasting time, ladies and gentlemen, let me have a time to welcome my beautiful sister, Rahela, and the second name is Edegilign.
It doesn't mean this time.
Did I get that right?
Nah, he sort of did. Yeah.
Oh, man. First of all, let me just say this. You're beautiful, my sister Rahela. And it's beautiful
Thank
to have
you.
you here.
Thank you
Oh,
so much.
yeah. What a pleasure. What a pleasure to have you. So let's start with this. By the way, I see your image is a little bit stuck.
I'm sorry,
Can you?
it's not, I can't hear you quite well.
Yeah, I think the internet must be a little bit okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now. Yes.
All right. This is good. This is good. Happy to see you, Sadek, as well. So let's start with this. All right, Rahela. Let's start with you teaching me how to pronounce your name, and not only one, but all of the three names: the first, middle, and the last as well.
Okay, so it's Rahel. It's Rahel
Mhm.
Edegilign Desalegn.
Wait. Can you do it? Can you do it slowly? For a second there, I thought you were speaking in tongue. Can you say it again?
Okay, so it's Rahel, or you already are saying it right, but Edegilign is like Edegilign, Edegilign
Edegilign.
and Desalegn. Yeah, Edegilign. It's like Degling, but then you add in
Oh,
front of.
I love that. It sounds good. Edegilign. I love how you pronounce Edegilign, right?
Yeah, so it's Rahel Edegilign Desalegn.
The Salin. Oh, man. But your name is very unique. It's my first time to see this kind of name, actually. Because a lot of Ethiopian names I know, like, they're kind of familiar with me, but Desalegn, Edegilign, these this is very first time for me to hear that such kind of name. What's the meaning of your name, by the way?
Okay, so Edegilign is like it's sort of like growth, but it's sort of saying to someone like I wish you would grow. Somehow it's like a wish, sort of, but then it represents growth. It's a direct word from Amharic
Okay.
actually. And
Mm-hmm.
deciding is like expression of happiness. So it's like I think you've been an artist before, and I'm sure you've seen a lot of like desaling restaurants, desaling whatever,
Oh,
I'm sure.
yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm not saying we own it. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that name is quite famous around in artists. You would see it in
Maybe
restaurants.
Maybe that's why today I've been this happy. You know, from the very beginning, I've been having this energy of happiness. I didn't know this. It could be because of your name, Desolin. Huh? Could be because of that.
Probably it gives off that energy, definitely.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. There's different kind of energy that just came here by having you, and I appreciate you. First of all, thank you so much for coming in. And you know, first time I think we can start talking about who is Rahel Edegilign Desolin. Who is Rahel? Like, for those people who do not know who is Rahel, you know, we'd like them to have something today from this session. Who is Rahel Edegilign? Oh no, Edegilign Desolin. Oh man, yeah.
Okay, you're saying it very well, by the way. So yeah, I'm Rahel, and I am a fashion designer based in Addis, and I'm also a follower of Christ, definitely. And yeah, I can also say I'm an entrepreneur somehow, but I've been more focused on the fashion designing currently. Yes.
That's incredible. That's incredible. And how did this journey started of you, you know, designing and doing what you do right now? Because I went through your page and I gotta say, man, I love your design. First of all, uh, it has it has I mean, it looks African, and I love the material you use. Maybe we can talk a little bit later, you know, about like how do you get these materials? But I want to know the journey of you starting what you do and where you are today.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, growing up, I think it all started me looking at different fashion magazines or looking at different movies and then looking at those entrepreneur women. And then I think that's when it started. But then the fashion thing is, my aunt used to bring around different magazines. And then I used to look at the magazines and go like, oh, I want to be a fashion designer or whatever. But yeah, it didn't uh, like start right away because I had to go to school, and you know how African parents are like when it comes to school and stuff. So I was actually an engineering student, you know.
Oh,
So I went to
engineer.
engineering school. Yeah, yeah, I was. And then at some point, I was trying to make my family, of course, happy. And at some point, I was like, I hope they understand. And I withdrew. So I think I dropped out second year, like second
Yeah.
year, second semester. And I'm like, okay, I'm
Wow.
gonna pursue this. I'm gonna go to school, and I did do some course. And when
Yeah.
I did fashion designing the day, I also did business management at night. Yeah.
Mm,
So it all started like that. It was around 2015.
mm.
I mean, not in calendar, by the way. It would be this year, but I know 2015, like it started a while back, yeah. So I started out quite young. I did make a lot of mistakes as well. But yeah, it's
Mm.
going quite well. I'm so grateful. God has been very good to me.
Yeah. How difficult was it for you to make that decision to actually change your career? Because we all know, you know, African parents and, you know, what they demand sometimes from us. And you know, I gotta admit that it must have been really it was an easy decision for you to make that I just need to drop out and all those stuff because of all the maybe the backlash or the feedback that you might receive from, you know, the loved ones. How difficult was it? And the reason why I'm asking this question, because there's a lot of people right now that are watching this video, and you know, maybe they have something they love and they're still stuck in something that somebody else want them to pursue, right? And so that process of moving from one career that you are doing to another career that you are enjoying doing and it's your passion, that journey, I would love you to share with, you know, with these people as well, with us. Rahela, you're muted. Rahela?
Yeah, so can you hear me? The Wi-Fi
Yes, I can hear you now.
went off for a second. Yeah, so it was quite hard, I can say, because they did not understand it at first because they didn't see it as a business that could be very lucrative, you know? because it's best to be educated, and then because you would have a guarantee to have a job when you graduate technically. And then fashion designing wasn't that big actually back then. It wasn't as, because it wasn't as celebrated as it is right now. So it was very hard. My mom was supportive, but like, yeah, it was very hard, but I think we had to work through those issues, and then I always felt like I had to prove myself somehow, but at the same time it was sort of like I'm just gonna do what I'm gonna do, and at some point if they're gonna understand it, they're gonna understand it, and then yeah, I had to just continue fighting for it. But like,
yeah, and
go
what were
ahead.
the challenges? What were the challenges that you faced first time when you moved and you started? Because this is a new career. Like you're going with like maybe you didn't know anything. Of course, you started by learning and studying. But what were the challenges at first that you faced, and how did you overcome them?
Yeah, so to mention that, I remember like the first thing that happened was like me sort of like not going home, not going back home for a bit, for like a week or so, and then I had to go back to the campus and stay with my friends. And then at that time, my pastor sort of was like talking to my dad, and they were going through it and stuff. So that the first challenge was like, is it even worth it to go through this, to become a fashion designer? Because it looks like it doesn't look like a job that would have a purpose. It doesn't look like. So that's me trying to figure it out. Is it like me just having fantasy about it, or does it really make sense? So that was the biggest challenge for me, to actually first believe in it, and then moving forward, and then see what comes out of it, sort of.
Yeah, and I want to know
Yeah.
when did
So
you
the biggest challenge was like to actually believe in it myself first, so that I can move forward and make something out.
and how did you get there? How did you get to that point of believing yourself? Like, did you sleep one day and then wake up the next day that, okay, now I can believe myself, I can do this? Or there's some sort of event happened that inspired you and motivated you to believe in yourself and in your art? Rahela? Hello?
I think it was sort of like me. Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's taking a long time to reply. I think maybe there's a little gap there of the feedback, I guess.
Yes, yeah, because I had to literally finish, and then yeah, I don't. But yeah, so it didn't happen overnight, of course, because you would have so many self-doubts and self-talks and self-walk, I guess. But like it's a process. I'm not gonna say it happened overnight. It's a process. I had so many doubtful days where I go like, um, because purpose was always a question for me, because would it have a purpose? What would come out of it? So it took time for me to actually believe in it and to understand. But I knew somehow deep down, like, you would always know something unconsciously, but then you would need different events and different things to happen to you to actually take them out of you somehow. So that's actually what happened to me, sort of, yeah, if that makes sense.
It does, it does. And in that note, I would love you maybe to talk to somebody who maybe might be doing something right now and they don't really believe in themselves, or they don't believe in what they're doing.
Yeah. So is that sort of a question, or I'm sorry, I didn't get that.
Oh yeah. I was asking if there's anything that you could say to someone who might not believe in themselves right now, because this is the process that you have been through and you are where you are right now, and we get to know more in just a second. But I would love for you to say anything that might be a word of inspiration, maybe to somebody who might not believe in themselves right now, in whatever they're doing.
Okay, so I would say it's definitely a process, like that might not happen overnight, but my suggestion would be to actually question that would it have a purpose, and would it have like make a change somehow for it to actually have. Yeah, so for you to believe in something, you have to be able to actually know more about it and to know where it can go and how far it can go. Yeah, so but first I think it's best to just believe in yourself in whatever you're gonna do, that you can actually succeed if you put your mind to it. I think that's the key.
I love that. And so let's get back to your design. Like, what's the type of design you're doing? Is there a name that you're designing? And what's actually the name of your brand?
Okay, so the name of my brand is Rahela, and it's basically Rahel, and then the A at the end stands for Africa, sort of. Yeah, so basically why I named it after my name is to leave a legacy behind, and yeah. So my brand, it's of course it's Rahela, but like my design concept is the one I think that's pretty much connected to this whole conversation, because most of the time people get inspired from different things. It can be from events, it can be from history, culture, and different aesthetics and so on, right? So I usually go back to Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, yeah. So I usually go back to researching different cultures and tribes all over Africa, pretty much, and then get to know what represents them, what color they use, what kind of fabric they used, and what it means to them somehow. So that design concept definitely helps me to sort of do a collection, and then to sort of represent what that culture means, what that tribe means, whatever. But like basically, Rahela is all about making casual wears. But from time to time, whenever I have shows, whenever I have I want to do collections, I just go to one tribe or one culture, one country, and then study their culture, do more research, and then get inspired, and then do a collection. Yeah.
Oh, that's incredible. How many countries have you done this designing so far?
I have, to be honest, I have not been to that many cities in Africa. I've been to Djibouti, Kenya, and Ghana, I think. But even if I don't travel to them, but I try to study more on the internet, since we have the internet now. But yeah, I've done from Mali, from Ghana, and also from different tribes of Ethiopia.
Yeah. So one thing that I was sharing, like I guess yesterday, is that Africa is very diverse, right? With so many languages, so many tribes, so many people, so many countries, and in a way, also we do have things in common. So in your work and your study, you've done in so many countries, as you mentioned. What have you realized that thing in common? Like maybe you didn't know before, but in your work you've been trying to do in so many countries, and then you realize that, oh, I didn't know that I see this common thing in all these different culture and the things that I do. And if you find that, what is that?
Okay, so I think to talk about African fashion, it's actually very diverse, and it has a large contrast, like it's insane actually. But sort of like diving into different, cultures and, studying about them, it sort of gave me a sense of like, deep down, the way we express ourselves, the way we dress, the way we color our clothes, and the way we layer them and stuff. We have so much similarity than we think, you know.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the fashion is very, very diverse, I could say, yeah. And it's actually hard to trace back the exact information of like the tribes and what they used to wear, what kind of textile they used to use. What it's actually
Yeah.
very tough. Like you can look at different ancient arts that will give you a hint about the textile or the patterns they used to
Yeah.
use, you know? So
Mm.
yeah, and we're very diverse, but in a lot
Yeah.
of ways we have common things as well.
So what kind of materials? Oh, thank you for that. I think it's really well put. The way you answered it. I'm interested in material you use because I've seen, your social medias, and I just loved the material. For me right now, I don't have a clothes from that kind of material, but I would definitely wanna. I would love to have one from you. Rahel. Um, when I
Definitely,
visit
I got.
there one day, or even when you visit here one day, I would love to have that. And what type of that material you use? It's not really common, but I think I love the um, I love it. I love the materials you use. You guys, you should definitely check out her Instagram, and to let us know later, and maybe we can attach in this live stream so that you guys can visit and see what she does.
Yeah, so the material I use, thank you for for saying all that. But yeah, the materials I use are like cotton as of right now. I try to use a hand woven 100% cotton, and then I experiment them in a way of I dye them, I paint on them. So
Yeah.
it's cotton for now, but like I'm willing to actually go forward and discover different types of
Mm.
materials as well because we have so much of them, out there.
We do. Yeah. Yeah, we
Yeah,
do. Well, that's
yeah,
really beautiful. I would love to get your opinion on what Ethiopia government has done recently. We all know last year Ethiopia banned the importation of certain things like cars, like human
yeah.
hair, and etc.
Mm.
I want to know from your perspective, what does it mean to you, and what do you think? Do you think it's a right move, especially for you, Ethiopian creators, African creators? What are your thoughts about that when you got that news? What were you thinking, and what went to your mind? And how is the business going on so far since the ban?
Yeah. So at first, I mean, like I wasn't happy, and I'm also like I'm still torn about the whole idea if I'm happy about it or not, to be honest, because
Yeah,
uh, we would want to get a lot of things from there, and then it's not easy to get it through custom now. But at the same time, we have so much resource in Ethiopia as well that we can use, you know.
yeah,
It's just that we don't see it, even me, I don't see it, and I we don't go deep and discover it as well. But yeah,
yeah.
I'm more of like 75% supporting that, but then 25% is like, I wish I could bring this, I wish I could do this. Even painting, yeah, like even painting wise, even different things wise, I'm like, why can't we just do that? Yeah, so it's a bit hard, but at the same time, yeah, we just need to see more resources and find things within and work on them.
For me, I'll tell you the truth, right? As I said, this is not the interview; it's the conversation. For me personally, I was happy, and maybe might say, oh, because you're not living here. Okay, that's a good point. But even if today it happened in my country, I'll be really happy because for me, I believe this. I believe that if you want people to find another way, like if like literally a way, then
Mm,
close the normal way that they always use. Like, So if we use this way all the time, if you close that way, human brain is so smart. Like human being, we're very smart, specifically Africans, that will be able to figure out the other way to find whatever they want to do. So if this is the way that we've always been used and it's closed, we'll find another way. We'll create another way. So
Yeah.
for me, I took it very positive and I loved it because not just because of that, but because I believe that we are Africans, we are creators, we are innovators.
True.
We have that in our blood by nature. We have that. And talking about Ethiopia, I went to Fasil Castle and I was really amazed when they told me that, Ethiopians did this, they designed this, all this, the architect. And I was like, what? And that's a long time ago. And I shouldn't even be surprised because it should be obvious. So when I look at this strategy, I wish it happened in so many countries in Africa because I believe we can actually create the ways. I believe we can actually create companies. I believe we can actually make cars. We can make airplanes. I believe we can do all this stuff. And a lot of argument that I receive a lot of time when I talk about this is that, oh, we don't have resources. We don't know how can we do. And I always say this, that if we continue to believe in somebody else because we keep saying that we don't have the resources and means on how to do it, then we're never going to do it. Because those things, they're never going to close coming to our country. They'll always come to our country. And what happens is, if you import food to your country, you kill the farmers' business. Farmers, they don't need to farm anything if you bring food from the outside. They don't need to farm anything because it's coming from outside. So you literally kill the farmer's business. You kill it. You kill that industry. So most of the time when we have things, we don't really think about creating new things. But when you don't have anything, then you go back to your creative mindset to think, okay, what should we do? If I had an opportunity to order this online, now I don't have, then what is the way out of this? So you'll find out that people are beginning to innovate things. They begin to create things. That's creative mindset. It's going to come outside and it's going to start to work. To do his work. For instance, because of calculators, because of computers, because of phones, these days, a lot of people, they don't have memories. Like they lose memories because everything we write it down. And if you don't even write down, you will not remember. But back in the days, we didn't have these things, and people they had to remember a lot of things. Like they will calculate. Like
Write
I
down,
remember
you will not remember.
when I didn't
But
have
back in
the
the days, we didn't have these things, and people
when I
they
didn't
had
have
to
the
remember.
calculator. When I didn't have the calculator, I used to calculate with my pen and piece of paper, right? But these days, if I want to calculate thing, I'm fine. Okay, where's the calculator to do it? So, in a way, this globalization, it's good in one side, but in another side, I kind of feel like it's making us like lazy. Like we become lazy. We become satisfied with what we see already. Like, oh, it's already there. We feel like there's no more innovation to be done. There's no more creation to be done. But for me, I believe the best creation is yet to come. Is right there. And Africans were the one that were going to do it. And so when I saw this move, for me, I was happy. I was happy for Ethiopians, creators, and I was happy, for innovators, for companies, because I was like, okay, now this is the opportunity. And it reminded me what Cuba did, because Cuba did the same thing. They actually just blocked everything. They said, we're not importing anything. And they started to develop themselves inside the country. And you know what is going on and what is happening. So for me, I took it very positive. And I wish Africa we could do that. We could take a risk, because any business, you need to take a risk. We could take a risk to start something, to innovate something. We should be the one exporting things, because we have the raw materials, we have everything, and that's why I'm really fascinated by the work you're doing, because you innovate, you create, right? And that's one of the work that I always love, to create something for myself. That's my opinion on this. What do you think?
Yeah. I understand where you're coming from, definitely. Like, yeah, we can do so much from here as well. But like, what if there was an option? What do you think of the option, maybe if they allowed things to come in from African countries at least, so that we could somehow get the resources from there, because there are so many things that we can't get here that can be very valuable.
Wow,
So,
you're
yeah.
very smart. You're very smart because when I was talking about this, I didn't think about Africa. I didn't. So this ban is banned from everywhere, even like African countries and like Western countries.
I
Is it that?
mean, yeah, at some point they really don't.
Ban. All right. Then I have a problem with that. Okay, for me, I didn't know. I didn't know this ban. I thought this ban is just internationally, like any country outside of Africa cannot import this and this. For that, I have a problem because I'm
It's all
fighting for one
Africa. Yeah.
Africa. Eh?
Mm. No, I'm
You
saying
say?
it's even Africa. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where you're coming from. When you come to custom, whether you're coming from Kenya or Ghana or wherever, like they'll just stop you, and then it does. Yeah,
No,
because
then I have a
so
problem with that.
that's
No,
yeah.
Rahel, I have a problem with that. I have a problem with that. No, I'm fighting for one Africa. We should allow. We should be having the free trade within the continent. Ethiopians should
Thank
trade
you.
with Kenya, with Tanzania, with the entire continent. The same thing, other countries should trade with Ethiopia as well. So in that, I do not support, and especially in the part of Africa, I did not know that. You just
Yeah.
shocked me that, because if you close that doors, that means you're closing the doors for other Africans, innovators and creators to share their resources and what they have with you. And we're not creating the
Mm.
unity we want. We're not creating, because unity is not just in one angle. It's not just politically. It has to be economically. It has to be in all levels, even spiritually. It has to be that.
Mhm.
But when you close
Yeah.
economically and when you close in this way, then you're not really acting what you say. I think you have to act what you preach. If you're preaching about unity, then that's
Mhm.
unity. Like
Yeah.
you're an Ethiopian, you have your work, you want to come here to Tanzania to start your business. Oh, you want to import here your product, as long as they are checked that they're good and they're well put, they will come here. I mean, they come here with your innovation, everything. You come here from Ethiopia, from Kenya, from Rwanda, from wherever. You'll be allowed to come here, from South Africa, from Egypt. You'll be allowed to come here, and I think that's the right move. But if the ban goes all the way to African countries, no, that's not right. That's not right, and I don't
Yeah.
stand with that.
Yeah. Even like the one thing that bothered me more is you can come from the States, and because and then they might not even check your bags, you know it's
Yeah,
that crazy. Because yeah, understanding if you're of course if you're coming from Dubai or
yeah,
Kenya or some other countries, you get in a line and then you get your bag checked. But then if it's from the States, Europe, they don't check your bag. So yeah, it's a very gray line. Yeah.
that's what I was talking about yesterday. Yesterday, I shared something. I said loyalty is the missing puzzle of Africa.
Mm,
In Africa, loyalty to our race, loyalty to our
mm,
people, loyalty to Africans, and loyalty to all. I mean, I said everything. That's the missing puzzles, the way I see it, because that's not only there, but even here in Tanzania, it's the same thing. As long as you have
mm,
this skin and you're from African country, then you'll be treated differently. I want to say this: you'll be treated differently outside,
mm,
because I witnessed this one Korean guy was coming to visit like two months ago, and he was stopped, and they opened all of his bag and they were checking everything and asking, what is this? For me, I was already out, but because I knew the guy, I had to go inside and tell them, hey, he's my friend, and these things, it's just some gifts for his girlfriend. He didn't carry. I had to go to defend him. So for that, I can say that I saw how they treat even other non-Africans. But when you go out
mm.
here, the way that they will treat you, it'll be different. Like, it'll be different, and that's why I say, like, this year I'll really preach a lot and talk a lot about loyalty, because I don't see Africans creators supporting other African creators. I feel like if I support you, you'll become better than me, and I'll lose my platform. You know, African, we don't stand there for one another. African, we don't support there one another. Africans, we don't, you know, only I'll come near you when you have money, when you have influence, when you have a name, because I'll expect something to have in return. You know what I'm saying? But if you just, oh no, if I don't know you, I don't even care about you. I don't even care about you. And I think it's the lack of loyalty. That's what caused our forefathers to be killed, because we sold them. And that even, you know, the colonization as well, because we sold our people away, we send them away. It's loyalty. We're not loyalty to ourselves, to our people, to everything. And that really hurts me all the time. It hurts me all the time.
Yeah, definitely. So that's like the lack of loyalty, and definitely unity is the problem, I would say.
So talking about that, can you share how did we meet? How me and you we met and decided to have this session? Because I would love us to go back to that story to build on what actually you said. You know, how did we meet? How did we get to this point today to have this conversation?
Okay, yeah. So I did follow you for like quite some time. But then I think a couple of days ago, you posted a video of like an interview you had with this TV, I think, yeah. And then you were talking about how like us Africans would come from like one country and then go like I'm from Tanzania, I'm from Ethiopia, and then we don't really see that we're Africans, you know, within. And then I'm like, oh, okay, this is something I've been talking about, like definitely with my friends as well. And I'm like, I commented saying, oh yeah, being Ethiopian, and I do understand how, you know, this is. And so I was like, oh, like I would love to work with this guy, right? Yeah. So I think that's how. And then you were very genuine about it, and here we are today.
Yeah. I appreciate that. So for me, when I saw your message, because it was the first time for me to see you, it was like a couple days ago, right? When I saw that message and how you wrote it and what you said, it really touched me. And after finding out that you're a creator, an innovator, my desire was just to have a conversation with you, because you know, I felt like the way you thought about it, it's really good. Would you mind to share with us from that context of what you texted me? Like, I felt like when I read that message, I felt like, okay, this is how I felt. I felt like you have something to say, and you wrote in the message in a very, like, you know, you summarize and you share in the message. And that's why I wanted to have this conversation, because I was like, okay, there's something in here, and I'd love to know it. I would love to hear it more.
Okay. So I think it was about, wait, just give me a second. Because I remember the one thing that triggered me was how you mentioned, because I think it's more big on Ethiopians than any other African countries, because of how we were raised to be said, because we don't consider ourselves as Africans. And that's a fact, sort of like it's a sad fact, but then that's what it is. And I'm like, okay, but then that's actually very true, because we do actually think that way, you know. And then I would talk to different people and talk to different friends of mine, and then go like, because they would always see my interest in, you know, my designs and talking about different African countries and how I want to travel all over, and then, you know, and then ask me, you know, what is this and stuff. I'm like, but then you guys do understand that we're Africans, right? And that's, we should sort of unite and whatever, right? So that's actually how, what triggered me so much to text you at first. But like, do you want me to actually read the text, or? I said, do you actually want me to read the text, or?
Oh, no. It's I just wanted you to in this particular thing, because There's one question before I move on here. I was just checking the message. I see, Dr. Sadeki asked here. I'll ask you soon. But finishing up with what we're talking about right now, because I gotta be honest with you, and it's that even in my country, where I am, people, they don't really talk about unity. Even me, the way that people see me right now, they see me like, oh, that African guy. That's how they see me. And
That's true.
I was talking to one of the friends that were working together, and he was telling me that they were in a group of people with friends, and they're saying that, oh, Mika, the only thing he cares about is God, family, and Africa. So how are you gonna get a time to how are you gonna get a chance to be in his cycle? Because he always just talk about Africa. It's like it's something that it should be normal, but it seems like it's a new thing. Like us doing and working for Africa, it seems like it's a new thing, because I think the way that we grew up, the way that we were raised, for example, in our education system, we memorized the capital city of European country, or America, or Asia. Those are things we memorize about, but we do not even know Africa in detail. We don't know that. So sometimes I feel like the way that we were raised, some of us were raised in a way that we were not embracing our Africanism and our Africanness. We were raised as a separate entity from Africa, and I've seen that, I've counted that a lot, and that's why I mentioned that, point, because I feel like now when we start talking about it, it seems like it's a new thing. It seems like it's something that it was never there. But I'm like, hey guys, you guys are Africans too. Why? Like, yeah, that's what I felt. And so in your message, I was really happy and motivated, because you told me that, oh, before you struggled with that, but right now you're no longer struggling with that. And I would like, if it's okay for you, to share with you, like how did you struggle with that, and how did you move from that stage of not really embracing Africa, and now being where you are right now? Because right now you're basically working for Africa with everything that you're doing.
Yeah. So at first, I think it was sort of like, of course, growing up, as you said, we did not have that much knowledge about being an African and so on. And then our story being different in Ethiopia. And then also growing up, we focused on of course, also the school curriculums taught us more about Europe and like the States, right? And then I think the one thing that like gave me perspective would be definitely researching for my own designs, like researching what it means to like have African patterns and African culture and whatever. And then as I go through it, it became very interesting. I'm like, wow, like, there are so many things that we don't know about, like different African culture countries. And then another thing I would like to mention is, again, I have not been to a lot of places, but like traveling gives you perspective 100%. And then so like going outside of like outside of Addis or outside of Ethiopia, and then discovering different things gave me like sort of like a new thinking. Wow, like we've been very under the box, like not knowing these things, and when we should actually know more about this, when we should actually learn more about Africa in school or like in social medias and stuff. But like I can actually admire a few pages on Instagram that also led me to this, as well, because I don't know, okay, Africa and Nigeria to the world, and this Instagram page like promotes African cultures and African like tribes, and then their dances, and it's very quite interesting. And then that's when I discovered a few years back to go like, oh, this is something I'm very interested in. And I can actually say I did fall in love with Africa like somehow, and I'm like, wow, people should actually be open to know more about it and stuff. And then how I related it with my brand is I'm like, okay, so having a brand and then for it to be somehow accepted, for it to be sustained, it should have a goal, one of the sustainable development goals that the United Nations also stated, So in one of the goals, actually, one of the goals is to for a global partnership, for a sustainable development goal, there should be a global partnership, right? And then I'm thinking, okay, Pan-Africanism can actually be one of the goals under unity, that can keep certain like brand, certain companies in different ways. You can actually vouch for that and have your brand quite sustainable. Yeah. So that also connected with my brand as well. So yeah, I had to actually learn a lot. I'm still learning. I don't think I even know half of it, to be honest. I'm still learning and I'm still discovering these things. But as I go forward, I'm very much interested. I have so much like interest to travel all over Africa than like to go to Europe or like the States. Is like, no, I wanna go to Africa places first, And I would always talk about, whenever I meet my friends, the things we talk about is like travels and stuff. And I remember like mentioning a few countries, and then how, the social media pages as well, how they post like, if you think the Africa that they don't show you, if you think Nigeria, it doesn't look good, this is what you should know, whatever. So yeah, it's quite interesting, I would say.
Well, even me, I don't even know half of what is happening in Africa. Or Africa, still learning. It's a process, and we'll get there as long as we have that passion and we have that desire to know, to know more. We'll get there. And there's a prize of knowing something. For me, the prize of getting to know Ethiopia is actually finding family in Ethiopia. You know what I'm saying? Like before, it was just me on the computer trying to get to know Ethiopia and everything. But I didn't know that one day I'll be noticed. That people will notice this one guy who is somewhere in the middle of this world and interested in Ethiopia. But there's always there's only a way out. When you try to learn something, like the more you know, the more you become familiar, and the more you become part of that society. It reach a time that people are calling me like, oh, you're Ethiopian. We need to test your blood and DNA. You are an Ethiopian. You are an Ethiopian. You know what I'm saying? But that's because of when you learn, you become part of this society, and people, they embrace you because you understand culture and you do this and this. So it's beautiful, and we have a huge chance to learn the entire continent.
Yeah.
So I would love to point out this question that Dr. Sadeke raised. Dr. Sadeke says, "Dear Rahel, so brave of you to follow your purpose. What are your personal values that are reinforced through your work?" That's a good question, Dr. Sadeke. You always look smart, man. Salute to you.
I know.
That's a question for you, Rahel.
Okay,
guys,
so
if you have
personal
questions
values,
for Rahel, please drop in the comment section. The last guy here.
Yeah, so I don't think I quite well understand the question, like personal values. What does that mean?
For me, I'll explain how I understand. So how I understood is that, okay, I have my work. My personal values might be maybe, maybe discipline, all right? Maybe like being on time, never like there's these personal values that you have that they guide you, they help you to achieve your work. Because being where you are, very successful designer, where you are today, it's because of the dedication and those personal values that you had yourself. And you are here, you're young, and you're doing tremendous things, and people, they notice and people enjoy it. You must have had these personal values that you believe in, because not everyone is successful at what they do. If somebody is successful, there's something special about them. And I think that's what Sadek is trying to discover.
Yeah. Okay, so I know I do understand. So I think some of the things I would mention would be, first, like to have faith somehow, faith that you can pray about like the things you want, and then that comes with definitely discipline and consistency. Like one of the things we struggle as like entrepreneurs or like people in art in general is we procrastinate a lot, like a lot more than the work we do. And then I want to change that narrative in a way, even seeing it from myself, like I do procrastinate a lot, and then I think consistency like is a great deal, having discipline and consistency throughout your work, because like it might take time, because starting out I did not actually think how we would have beginner's luck, and then we would like achieve few things and then go like, okay, this is it, and then I didn't think of it as a journey, as a whole, so, and then it takes a lot of patience and consistency to, move forward, definitely. And I don't think I'm like there yet, to be honest. I'm still like trying to build the foundation, definitely, and then for it to go somewhere. But yeah, those are the things that came to my mind.
I have a huge belief that you'll go so far. You'll go so far, and we might not recognize in a couple of years from now, because of just what you shared, faith, discipline, and consistent. I think that's everything in whatever that you do. Guys, do you hear that? You want to get where you want to go, you need consistency. Doesn't matter how long it takes, be consistent. Faith and discipline. Wow, that's beautiful. All right, there's a question here from Marie to say, can we see some of what she made? Was that from the runway you went to Addis Mika? Well, so for this, since I cannot show here on the screen, but I would love you, Rahel, to mention your social medias so that people, they can actually go and see what you do. If you can mention just right now, if people, they want to see your work, where can they find you? Just to answer this question from Marie.
Okay, I'll do that.
All right, I will let you know at the end. And we have Swahili for Africa say, but important question remain in our unity. It does not matter how much we are creative or hard workers. At the end, we are still in bad shape. Swahili for Africa, yeah, I see your point. We need unity. We need unity so bad. We need unity as soon as possible to be able to do what we are doing. For me, the creatives like Rahel, I wish for you to be able to come here anytime, to go to that country, to show your work, to have some exchange, programs, with designers from this angle, from that angle. We could have one clothes that have like the entire design of 54 different countries. That would be like the real African clothes. You know what I'm saying? Like it has the taste of all these different culture. And how can we do that? Of course, by integrating with one another. And so we need unity. We need unity as much as we can. There's another thing here, Sadeki, I think it was replying area. He said the reason for the ban is due to shortage of dollars, to save the dollars for the essentials items like medicine, etc. The solution is to get free from dollar dependence and get powerful African currency. Well, I agree with this, and for me, what I wish, Dr. Sadek, is that I wish that, of course, African currency is something that we have been talking about. That for me, in order to go to Ethiopia, I need to change my Tanzanian shillings to change to dollar, and then go to Ethiopia, change dollar to Ethiopian currency. The same thing from Ethiopia if you're coming here as well. So if we have African currency, it will be easy for us to have my African. We can have our local currencies, but also we can have African currency that we can travel with wherever we go, and that we can strengthen our Central Bank of Africa as well. So I think that should be the way. But also, I'm sticking with the, with my suggestion. I think banning the African countries as well. There must be a way we can find out to leave that door open as well, because it doesn't look good at all for that. Do you have an opinion to that, Rahel?
Yeah, I think I understand like the shortage of dollars definitely because the exchange rate is quite high, and then it's hard to get dollars for to travel as well. But at the same
Yeah.
time, I think yeah, as you said earlier, at least opening the doors to different African countries to have us buy stuff from like East Africa, West Africa, or South Africa, wherever. And but then to do that, as you've mentioned, if we could have a currency, great, but like if we could have another system where we could exchange money in a way, maybe the banks could come up with a method or something. Yeah, but like I do
Yeah.
understand his point as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Did. Did. Thank you. Thank you. There's another question here from Tibeso Beza B. You say, when and how do you know you have the passion for this endeavor?
Yeah, is that for me or you?
That's for you. Definitely for you.
Okay, I think I know the person. Definitely. Hi, to be so. Yeah. So when do you know you have the passion for this endeavor? I mean, I think you pretty much know because I already mentioned this earlier, saying, growing up, I did have that passion of draining probably the art and also becoming an entrepreneur somehow. It's something that does spark as you grow up of the things you see and the things you learn, you know. And yeah, I think that's pretty much when it happened for me.
Yeah. Well, I would love to add something to this as well, because she said, he or she said, when and how do you know you have the passion for this, for whatsoever? So for me, when, I think, when and how do you know? I think for me, I'll start with how and then I'll go to when, because I feel like that is right for me. Like, because how do I find this passion? Like, you might be doing a lot of things, like maybe you're doing even 7 things at the same time, but there's this one thing that whatever you do, you feel like you're not working
Mm,
at all. You work hard, but you feel like you're not working. Like, you could stay and do something for like 10 hours and feel like you've done for 5 minutes, and you still want to sit down there and do it. Okay, so I'm not talking about Netflix. Might be sitting and watching like series on Netflix and be like, oh, this is my passion, watching Netflix. You're gonna sleep without food on the table, right? But I'm talking about, you might be doing something and you feel like you're not doing at all. You're not working at all. You're happy. You're inspired. Whether people show up or not, you're inspired. Whether people say, "Oh, you've done a good job," or they don't, you're still inspired. Like, there's something that no
mm,
matter what you do it, you have to know that that is something that you were created, you were born to do it. That's how you do it.
yeah.
That's how you know it. If you just sit down and you don't do anything, you watch Netflix 24/7 or you TikToking 24/7, you will never know. Like, you'll never find it. So in order for you to find your passion, you need to do it. Whatever that comes to your mind, whatever you want to try, you do it. I always share with my people that, for me, growing up and when I was in South Korea, I was doing a lot of things to the point that I was criticized. All right, I was playing piano, I was playing guitar, I was playing drums, I started to learn bass, and I was singing, worship songs. I was singing faster songs, like praises songs. All right, I'll go to teach kids about Africa, and I will go, to do some other part-time jobs. I will be in the, prayer meetings. I'll do this and that. I'll be playing soccer. I'll be playing tennis. I'll be playing pocketball.
Mm,
I'll be playing basketball. I was like, I'm kind of guy that I was doing everything. I'll design the websites. I'll do. I'll have YouTube. I'll be doing live stream there. I'll have Facebook. I'll be doing live stream there. I'll have Instagram. So I had like everything. So a lot of people that are criticizing me that, Mika, you will never. I think you will never be successful because you do a lot of things. Try one thing. Focus on one thing. But they did not. They
true.
did not know that that's how you find yourself. When you have a passion to do
Yes.
like 1,000 things at once, go ahead and do it. Don't limit yourself because you have no idea. That's when you find your passion at some point. So that is how for me. And when, oh man, after how, you know it. Because when you're doing it, you find then that, hey, this is my passion, and that's what I can say.
Yes.
Somebody here says that I have seen her design. They are amazing. Oh man, come on now, Rahel. Rahel, you gotta design something for me. Like, you have to design something for me. I would want to wear that amazing designs you have. All right.
Yes, definitely. I got you. Don't worry.
Please, yeah. I'm asking you right now publicly so that one day I can hold you accountable if you don't.
Yes, I'll give to it.
Oh yeah, it will be an honor. It will be an honor to wear your design, and I think, I'll be at that time. I'll not be doing live stream with my black t-shirt. I'll be doing with your design.
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
No worries, I
So
got you.
I appreciate that. That means a lot. That means a lot. When someone say I got you, that means a lot. That got to me. Anyhow, so let me leave this time for you to share anything, even to ask me as well questions, because I say this is conversation. It's not really an interview. So if you have anything that you would like to ask me, or even to answer yourself, maybe I did not ask you, and you're like, oh, this is something that I really want to get out of me. Then you can do that as we are approaching to closing this session.
Okay. So one thing I want to ask you would be, so what do you think is the different methods to fulfill this, like project passion to move forward, into having that one passport, one Africa, the Swahili nation, the whole project. What do you think are the methods? Because people can do different things and then make influence out of it, with the same way I'm trying to do, in your designs. It can be artists can be painting and whatever. What do you think the other methods could be to fulfilling that goal? Of course, it also can be having a voice in the AU as well. But like, what do you think people should do? Anyone, actually. It doesn't have to be from. It doesn't have to be an artist, or people that work in accounting, people that work in finance. In different ways. What do you think there are the ways that they can probably be part of this movement?
That is really beautiful question you ask. Thank you so much for that question. We realize this, that the change that we want to see in Africa, we are not gonna bring it just by talking. We need to do it. We need to act. We need to act now, not tomorrow. So last year, we based a lot on doing live stream, having conversation and everything, and people did not understand. A lot of people, they were criticizing that you talk a lot, but we were trying to raise awareness, and we were trying to extend our influence across the continent, across the world, people to know who we are and what we are standing for. That's why right now you can see the mission in here on the page. If you don't talk about it, people will not know. So we were building a foundation of people to know who we are and what we stand for the whole past year and other years that were, because right now we've been in this business for 3 years, and other past years we've been doing that to build that awareness. And this year in 2023, which we call a year of completeness, yesterday I added a year of loyalty, because that's what we want to create in our people mindsets. In this mission, you'll see that is to decolonize the mind. That's one of our missions, that we have to decolonize the mind and come back to that authenticity, to our original true color, that we are Africans. We should be there for one another. So this year, we are taking away the community from online and talking and having this conversation. We are going on the ground. I shared at the beginning that, we started these teams. We want to start teams in every single country, because these teams, they need to be doing some activities. So when you have people in the organization, some of them, they're innovators, some of them, they're creators, some of them, they do this, they're doctors, they're engineers. When you have all these people together in a single team, for example, in Africa, we have a team, and you're part of it as well. Thank you, by the way. I
Yes.
just added you there, even without asking you. I was like, no, I'm having conversation with you. You're gonna get in the team as well. Uh, so in
I'm
that
happy
team,
I'm part of it.
that team right here, you are designer. Sadeke, Dr. Sadeke is there. He's a doctor. We have Kemi. He's the
Mm,
musician. He's there. We have Mickey as he's
mm,
a student. You know, he's studying. Actually, he's finishing up his school this year. And then you have like Kuru. He's he's working in the company. And then you have Dr. Ebenezer. He's the manager of a certain company. So if you have all these
mm,
people together, these people, they have different ideas, they have different passions, they have different thoughts of how to do it. To be honest, sometimes for me, I don't know the ways how to do it, but we
mm,
find the ways to do it because we are community. And when we sit down, we hear this suggestion, we hear that suggestion. Okay, so for this year in Ethiopia, let's do this and this and this. Let's let's reach out to the war affected zone, and let's do this and that. Let's do that and that. So in this way, we can actually bring change, not by just asking the government, asking people, but we as a people can bring change even without being on the seat of president or prime minister or like or whatever. But we can bring change in the community totally, because our organization is from the bottom up. We want to reach out to people from the bottom, and then we're going up. So this year, that's where we're going. We're going to the bottom. We're going to touch people, and by this way, I know that we can bring change, because we need to connect with victims. We need to connect with people who are experiencing these things every single day. And once we connect with them and we bring impact to their lives, then our message, it will be very easily received. And that's why we have this team, and we are using this team. We're using these people, passionate people who are part of this organization for a while, to actually reach out to people. Because if you're from Ethiopia, you know what you have to do to your community. You know who you want to reach out to. And so now you can reach out through Swahili Nation. You can reach out through One Africa. You can reach out through us. So for me, honestly, I feel like that's, if I could answer your question, that's one of the ways that we do.
mm.
Because at the end of the day, you need to go back to people to change people's lives. I cannot change
True.
me alone. You cannot change you alone, but you need a people. That's why we preach about One Africa, about unity, because that's what we need in order to transform the continent.
Yeah. Okay, I have
Did I
like
answer?
a few questions for you actually. Yes, you did. Actually, you did. But like one of the things that um, I experienced when I was in Kenya was, I don't know if you know about this, but like Ethiopia is not part of the East Africa community.
Oh yeah,
And
we're trying to push for that actually.
yeah, so what do you think is holding Ethiopia back for us to be part of that community? Because
Yeah.
I did not understand this, because we're also a big part of East Africa and we're not part of it. So
For that, to be honest, I don't know for sure what is holding back, but I'll just give you my opinion. Well, my guesses. So, in order for someone to be part of the community, first of all, there must be agreement from both sides. There must be agreement from the community itself, and also there might be agreement from the country. And not only that, but the country has to send a request to the community to be part of that community. Because you could like geographically, you could be in the eastern part of Africa, but you might not want to be in the organization of East Africa. So if you don't want to be, we're not going to force you to be part of that, because it's your decision to be or not to be. For instance, Tanzania is part of the SADC, and SADC is South Africa community. But we are part of that, and we are East African. We are in the side of East Africa. And because of that, we can go to so many countries in the southern part without visa. We don't need visa to go to South Africa and other southern part, because we are part of the SADC. So that's one of the benefits of being part of this organization. So for instance, if Ethiopia today is part of the East African community, then you're not going to need visa to go to Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, Rwanda, Burundi, Congo right now. And I think hello? Rahel, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. I'm sorry. I think it looked out for a second there.
Exactly. I disappeared for a second. So in order for Ethiopia to be part of East African community, one thing that I know, Ethiopia need to send a request to the community that, hey, we want to be part of your community. And then other logistics will follow. Because just recently, Congo became part of East Africa. And Congo, is Central Africa. It's not even in the eastern part of Africa, it's Central Africa, and it became because they sent a request a long time ago. And also I know that Somalia as well, they sent a request to apply to be part of East Africa community. And I know that is what will be coming next. They're still in the talks and to figure out all the logistics, because there's so many things involved about economic right now in East African community. They're coming with the East African, currents. We'll have our own currency in East Africa. They have East African army, East African government. Like it's one of the strongest community in Africa, and also is like the superpower of Africa right now, because you have Congo right there, and then you have all these other countries that they're so rich in so many ways. So East African community right now is in that way, and imagine if Ethiopia is part of it as well. Oh my goodness, we have numbers, we have resources, we have everything. Because what Ethiopia can do, can sell its electricity to all the East African countries community. And that's why, as a Swahili nation, and me personally, I push so hard for Ethiopia to be part of East African community. But it will not work if Ethiopia itself is not willing to be part of it. If they're not sending a request to be part of it, then it's not going to happen. So I don't know if the requests have been sent us again already. I'm gonna need to find out about that. But they need to be like Ethiopia, Somalia, Djibouti, even Eritrea. I wish they're part of East African community, because we need all these countries together, and that unity, I think, will bring a lot of change in Africa.
Yeah, you did mention a few things about the passport and the visa issues, yes, and yeah, because I think it should be very easy for us Africans to travel all over Africa without facing these challenges. And in some embassies, it actually can be quite expensive. Like in dollars, it can be $150 for like a visa, and it's actually insane. Yeah. And also, what do you think about it being quite expensive? Traveling all over Africa, because the plane ticket from one African country to go to the south or like to the west is actually the same price for you to go to Europe or wherever. Like that's also something I was thinking about.
Honestly, that is really something that really bothers me a lot.
Yeah.
And for example, for Ethiopians to travel to Tanzania is more difficult than them to go to US, just visa. So so what I did is I went to meet up with the ambassador of Ethiopia here in Tanzania. We went officially, Swahili Nation One Africa, to see His Excellency and to talk to him about this. So we went with our agendas, like there were 3 different agendas. And I asked him, I was like, what can we do? Us as an organization that we are here and we have an office, what can we do to help? Because it hurts me that Ethiopians can barely get a visa to come to Tanzania. It hurts me. They're in East Africa. They're Africans. Why? You tell me it's because of of a lot of, and this is another thing that we always say. You tell me because of these immigrants who are trying to leave from Ethiopia to go to southern part of Africa. Most of them, they capture them here in Tanzania, which is another thing that it really hurt me. So we went with those agendas to talk to them. And he said this one thing. He said that actually he's been dealing with that, and the government has accepted to loosen up all those restrictions. And right now he's just waiting for the email. I mean, for the confirmation from the government to come on the table. And after that, the doors will be open for Ethiopians to come to Tanzania. With not the same restriction that it was. So I need to follow up with that. Like, when is it gonna happen? Because now it's a matter of when. It needs to happen as soon as possible. Because I have a lot of Ethiopians who wants to visit me here, and I'd love them to come here, including you, Rahela.
Yes, please. I can't wait.
So to answer your question, it's sad that in order to go to African countries, it's too expensive. It comes to visa and everything, and something has to be done. All this restriction has to be loosened up. We need borderless Africa. We need a place that you can go, you can travel. And I think this is because there's not a lot of competition even when it comes to airport from one country to another country. If we have a lot of options, I think everybody will be trying to get customers, by giving a lot of promotions. And also, I wish we build railways across the continent of Africa, because we need to travel from one place to another. We should not just depend on the airplane. We should travel even by bus or by railways in order we can see the countries clearly. If I travel here to South Africa and then I go by the train, that would be amazing, man. I'll be just going in every single country, chill a little bit and see, and then go to another country, chill a little bit and all this stuff. So all these things, it's sad that everybody's looking to make money, and in Africa it's too expensive that you cannot travel. You would rather go to Europe, but rather than traveling within the continent. And we need to change that, and that's why we're fighting for One Africa as well, because we believe that this will change everything once we have that. Because today, for me, going to other East African country like Kenya is very cheap. I can go by bus to go to Kenya. I can go by plane if I want I can go by bus, or even I can go by bicycle if I can travel for like a couple weeks.
Yeah. I see your point. Yeah, I have one more question. That's like that's sort of something I've noticed in the past couple of months. So the one thing I want to ask is, why do you think it's hard for us Africans to see the potential we have and the resources we have, when people that are not Africans can actually see it? They actually are showing us how talented we are. If you've noticed, so many artists, African artists, are collabing with artists from the States, Europe, and so on, right? And then I understand them because they actually see our potential and our talent. That's why they every time a song gets famous, someone would collab, and then it would be out there, right? And then now it's sort of becoming a big trend somehow for Africans to collab with non-Africans somehow. But I don't see that as a negative thing. I see it as a very positive thing, as long as it's showing our culture and promoting it, whatever. But why is it so hard for us to actually see it? Is it because the way we grew up, or what do you think?
Can you repeat again the question? Why is it so hard for us to see what?
To see our potential and the resources we have.
Yeah, that's a really good question, Rahel. And you asked me the question that I've never thought of, and I'm I'm literally trying to think right now, why is it so hard for us to see the potential we have? I think the problem is not seeing it, but I think the problem is appreciating it and what we do after seeing it. For instance, we see it. I believe we see it. We see, for example, in Congo, we see how rich that country is. We see all the oil we have in Africa. We see all the gold and diamond we have in Africa. We see the talents we have in Africa. We see, for me, for example, the reason why I started to do reaction for Ethiopian music, because I never heard one before. I never heard one before, and I was 20-something, 27. Never heard any song before from Ethiopia. I was like, I gotta find songs from here. But if Tanzania artists maybe collaborated with Ethiopian, maybe I could have seen it. So, all right, this is how it is. But the thing is, a lot of us, and I'm going back to loyalty. We are not loyal to our race, to our people, to our continent. I would rather buy something online from Amazon or from anywhere than buying something from you, Rahel, something that you create here in Africa. I will pay literally amount of dollars to buy something on Amazon rather than buying something from you. Okay, another thing. I would rather pay for the Netflix to watch Netflix every single month, rather than maybe, let's say, supporting here Swahili Nation. Just join as a member or put a donation, a little bit of super chat. But I'd rather subscribe to Netflix and watch videos and movies, which is okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Rather than doing something that can actually support another African creator. A lot of Africans who are struggling a lot, and a lot of them, they're dying inside out, are African creators. They struggle a lot. Musicians, designers, content creators, and all these people, because literally when you work for Africa, it's like you're working for God, that you don't expect anything in return. But it shouldn't be that way. It shouldn't be that way. We see the potential, we see the beauty, we see the resources, but we do not appreciate it. And what I mean by appreciating is willing to go further, to be like, okay, before anything, I want to support this. I want to support Africa. Because in Africa, I'm telling you, if we could just collaborate Africans, well, this Africa is a big market, more than 1.3 billion people. If we were together and wanted to collaborate with one another, man, you release one song, you get like billion viewers. Imagine, just in Africa. But we don't have that, because today Ethiopians musicians, they have audience from Ethiopia. Tanzanians, they have audience from there. In Nigerian, they're the one actually took over the world, by storm. And then you have this. But in this way, we cannot really grow. We cannot really achieve whatever that we want, because of this individualism that we have. So for me, I'll go back to the same thing, loyalty. I think that's the issue.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. But something I want to add is maybe also, don't you think it's the fact that we don't have that much knowledge of it, because as you said, because you didn't, know Ethiopian song, because you didn't know this and that, also like having that knowledge out there would also help us appreciate more and love it as well.
Absolutely. 100%. Well, Rahel, let me say this. Once you join this family and you have conversation with you become part of this family. So from today, you are Swahili Nation One Africa family, and this platform is your place. So if you have anything in the future that you want to share with us, you're always welcome. You can always reach out and we can have this conversation again and again and again. If you have something that you love people to see, to know what you're doing, you have us. We can have it again and again and again. And I want to say this, even if you have a video that you created, maybe something, because I've seen a lot of comments here, people are asking about how can we see, we want to see his work, what is her site, or what does she, they want to know that. So even if you have like a video that explain or show your work or whatever, you're welcome. This is your platform. You can literally send that to me and we can share on YouTube for people to see and to know who you are. So literally the doors are open for you as an African creator to have this platform that you can share your work, you can advertise, you can promote, and we can support you to do that, because that's why we are here where we are. So welcome to the family, and thank you for the time that we had here together. And today is not the last day, so we'll have a lot of conversation in the future. I'm thinking about bringing different creators from all different countries and have conversation together. So this will be a place of meeting point as well, of different creators from everywhere.
Yes, I want to say thank you so much for having me. Like, definitely this has been an honor for me as well, and I would love, of course, to be a part of it. And yeah, would definitely talk more about these issues. Yes.
Appreciate. Well, thank you so much, Rahel. I'll let you go for now, but I'll give you a call after this to talk a little bit. But I appreciate for stopping by and for everything that you shared with us today. It really means a lot. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so much. I'm just gonna turn on my video to say bye because my network has been bad.
Finally,
yes.
Finally. That's the face that I've been seeing the whole day today. Finally.
Thank you so much for having me. Definitely. Unless like anyone has a question, I think we can call it a day.
Appreciate that. Rahel. Appreciate that. Thank you so much. All right, guys. Well, that's Rahel. You guys have seen it. And yes, in this video, very soon I will attach her social media's handles for you guys to check it out. So check out this video. After a few minutes, I'll be able to do that. I appreciate guys for stopping that by. So just pray and we'll be done with this conversation today. God, I thank you for today. Thank you for Rahel. Thank you for this. Thank you for everybody who came and joined. Thank you for the questions. Thank you for everything that has happened. You're building something beautiful, something amazing in this continent, and you're bringing us together from all over the world to just create, innovate, and to see it happen through. I praise you. I thank you, and I give you glory. In your precious name I pray. Amen. Thank you, guys. I love you. Keep supporting us. Keep standing with us. Subscribe, like this video. It'll help to reach to as many people as you can. And always remember to love one another and to spread peace whatever you are. All right? That's what we stand for. Love, peace, and unity. Love, peace, and unity. That's what we stand for. I love you guys and have a wonderful day. Appreciate it.